All right, hi everyone. My name is Rory Sommers. I'm the undergraduate admissions counselor for SACI Florence. For tonight's webinar, I'm joined by Kaylee, who is a recent alum. She was with us in the fall semester of last year. So the format of this is going to be pretty laid back, as you can see on the screen. I do have a short presentation that I'm going to run through, which will give you some nice opportunities to see some pictures of Florence and SACI, and also learn a little bit more about our programs. At the end of the presentation, Kaylee and I are going to be taking questions. As a recent alum, she can kind of answer any questions that you might have about the experience of being a student over in Florence and at SACI. On my end, I can answer any application or credit questions that you might have. So between the two of us, hopefully we can get any of your questions answered. In order to ask your questions, you should see a chat feature. I believe it should be to your right if you're on a computer. It's to the bottom if you're on a mobile phone. At any time during the presentation, just feel free to leave your question there. That way, once we get to the end, whatever questions have shown up there, we'll run through for you. And then if any other questions come up while we're answering the questions that are already there, we'll go ahead and continue answering them until there are no more questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we are SACI. We are the Studio Arts College International in Florence, Italy, a program for undergraduate study abroad, as well as graduate and postgraduate degrees. So whether or not you come and study abroad with us for a semester or a summer, you can always think a little bit ahead as well to your postgraduate plans. We have three two-year MFA programs, a one-year MA in art history, 2 one-year post-bac plans, and not pictured here, we actually do have a 3-year low residency studio art program. So SACI Florence is situated in the downtown historic center of Florence, Italy. So our campus is not on the outskirts of the city or in a suburb. This image of downtown Florence is essentially your campus. We have our main building called the Palazzo dei Cartelloni, which is where all of your classes will take place. It's a very historic building. It's hundreds of years old. It used to belong to a pupil of Galileo, where his family lived. As you can actually see from the ornamentation, that's actually in dedication to Galileo. It's also rumored to have been the family home of Mona Lisa, or the woman who sat for the portrait of Mona Lisa. So right from the very beginning, you are living and working and learning in this extremely historic location. As I mentioned, though, Florence is your campus. So we just have this one main building. We have another building that is home to more of our graduate studies. And then the rest of Florence is your campus. And you'll be living in apartments throughout that downtown area. We have studio space in our building, as well as classroom space, dark rooms, areas where students are able to do sculpture and ceramics. So it's a very well outfitted building. The building itself also has a garden in the back, and some of our classes tend to take place back there, such as our sculpture and ceramic classes. But students also have the opportunity to go outside and enjoy this garden on a daily basis, whether that's sitting and chatting with friends, drawing inspiration, or just reading a book. So one of our goals at SACI is to really have you come to Florence and feel like it is a place that you are living. Obviously, it's extremely easy to get over to Florence as a tourist. You can go over a summer, a spring break after graduation, whatever it might be. But it's a little bit more difficult to go to Florence and have the experience of actually living there. So we do this in a number of different ways. The apartments that I mentioned earlier, but also having you go out and explore the city. And one of the other things that SACI really emphasizes with our students is while you're exploring the city, allowing it to really influence your artistic point of view. We want to take you outside of that bubble of the college that you've grown really comfortable with and the students and faculty that you know really well on your home institutions, and put you into a brand new environment where everything is brand new and can be an influence on you no matter what. Florence is this amazing city that has hundreds of years of Renaissance history. So there is just history and art from hundreds of years ago on practically every street corner. But it's also a very modern city, and there's still a lot of modern thriving artists in the city, whether that's studio art or photography or fashion design, or the street artists like we see here. So we want you to really explore Florence and understand and experience this juxtaposition of the old with the new, and allow it to really let yourself as an artist grow and change, as well as an individual. An experience of studying abroad will absolutely make you more independent and grow you as a person. As I mentioned, we do have a second building, the Jules Madoff Palazzo. It is more for our graduate studies, but some of our undergraduate courses take place here too. And it's actually named for our founder, Jules Madoff, who is an American artist who dreamed of opening an art school in Florence for American students. And we have been around since 1975 to be that school for American students. It's also a very historic building with beautiful ceilings like this in many of the classrooms. So while you're sitting there at a computer, you might look up and see a 100-year-old mosaic or a 100-year-old painting or those beautiful ceilings. Again, reminding you of this amazing juxtaposition in this very unique city. Both of our buildings have gallery spaces. This allows our students opportunities to exhibit their own work, especially at the end of the year. But we frequently bring in artists for our students to experience. Here actually is a show done by Jules Madoff, our founder. And many of these exhibitions change 2 to 3 weeks, or every 2 to 3 weeks, so that you constantly have exposure to new artists, whether that's faculty, staff, alumni, or local Florentine artists. And it also has a garden. Gardens are kind of ubiquitous, that sense of public space, and we encourage you to spend as much time outside in the beautiful weather of Florence as possible. Along that lines, the Florentine beautiful weather, many of our classes will take you out of the classroom for your classes. Here's a drawing class being influenced and inspired by the city of Florence, but our art history classes will also frequently take place on site, so that for art history classes, you're not just sitting in a classroom looking at slides on a projector. You're actually standing in front of the pieces of art that you're talking about and having the opportunity to experience them in person. On the weekends, we'll take you further afield. There's plenty of opportunities for travel with SACI for Saturday field trips, overnight field trips from Saturday to Sunday, and opportunities to travel on your own. The field trips that you take will all depend on the courses that you are enrolling in, but many of them are included as part of those courses. And you'll get to go places like Venice, Rome, Pisa, Milan, and more. Additionally, we try and get you to experience as many professional artists in the field of Florence as possible. So there are plenty of opportunities to, as a class, go and shadow local artists, but we also offer the opportunity for design students to have an internship as one of their courses. And here's another example of a field trip that one of our classes took to see metal being poured into a mold. Our advanced sculpture class concentrates a lot on stone carving. So the advanced sculpture class here has gone to a local quarry just outside of Florence to understand how it is that marble is brought to them in the state that it is. As their final project, they also have the opportunity to choose a piece of marble, which will become their final project. And this is really a great opportunity for students in this class because this is the marble quarry where Michelangelo picked his marble for the David. So you get that chance to kind of follow in the footsteps of the greats. From time to time, we also have special events, symposiums or performance art pieces or lectures or talks, all about different types of subjects brought in for just our students and our community to experience. So this past November, we had a 2-day symposium about the intersection of art and science, specifically talking about space and Mars, where we had artists and NASA astronauts come and talk about what it means to have art and science in their lives. There's also plenty of opportunities to get involved in the local community through volunteer and service learning, which really helps to incorporate you into that local community and to meet as many local people as possible. We do offer a couple of classes where this is an option that's built into the curriculum, but outside on your own, SACI is able to help place you into a different volunteer opportunity depending on what you're looking for. This volunteer opportunity was actually to work with older people who have some mental illnesses, and the student helped help them make camera obscuras. But we really have opportunities for many different things, from teaching English language to painting murals in hospital rooms. Also opportunities to work in local gardens. Students live in apartments scattered throughout that downtown area. The furthest apartment is about a 15 to 20-minute walk away. You'll be living with other SACI students with one SACI apartment in a building. The rest of the building will be local Florentine people. So you have that opportunity to really feel like you are experiencing life as a Florentine, passing your neighbors on a day-to-day basis in your stairwell or at the front door. We don't have a meal plan or a cafeteria, so as well you're going to be preparing food on your own, which means that you'll be shopping in the local markets, getting to know your local farmers and bakers as you're buying fresh bread. There's also plenty of opportunities, that means, to go out and experience the local cuisine in restaurants, whether that's in Florence or on your field trips during the weekend. Apartments are double and single rooms, anywhere from 3 to 6 students, and you'll be living with different students on the SACI program. So you will be living with brand new people from a diverse background. So it's not only just about getting to know local Florentine people, but experiencing a new set of peers outside of your home institution. And then, of course, there are plenty of opportunities to eat lots of gelato and take beautiful pictures. So to quickly talk about the different types of classes that we offer, we do have a diverse course offering in many different areas, from studio art to design to art history to Italian language and culture. So if you are a design student and looking for those types of classes, we have graphic design, fashion design, web design, graphic design, communication design, and as I mentioned before, the opportunity to take design internships. The qualifications for the design internship are just to have a background in the field that you are interested in interning in, and then you'll work with our registrar to be placed with the local Florentine artist who will meet your needs as best as possible. We do also offer contemporary studio, which is our 2D and 3D areas, so think along the lines of painting, drawing, sculpture, as well as photography and media. So our photography areas include black and white, working in the dark room, as well as digital photography. And then we have sculpture, painting, and drawing offered at all different levels. So whether it is something that you wanted to try for the first time and your background's not in drawing or painting, or you've taken a ton of classes and are looking to do something at a higher level, we definitely have a class option for you. One of our other areas is crafts, and this is a great area for students to come and try something that many of their home institutions won't have available on campus. It actually takes place at a third building, one that SACI does not own, but uses specifically for our craft building classes, called the Fuji Studios, and this is a beautiful studio area with a beautiful garden outside. But we offer classes in jewelry, batik, book arts, weaving, and serigraphy. And this is a great opportunity to really work with your hands and perhaps learn a brand new craft or skill that you wouldn't have the opportunity to do otherwise. Our conservation area is actually one of our most unique offerings for undergraduate students, because our conservation classes actually allow students to physically work in restoration projects with actual pieces of art. So our students are not working on replicas or just fake pieces of art. They are actually working with real pieces of art to restore them to public consumption standards. Many of these pieces that our students are working to restore either go on display in various museums throughout Florence or are returned to the owners of the pieces of art. In addition to being able to work on painting restoration, we also have classes in archaeological restoration, and we partner with a dig just outside of Florence, so you will have the opportunity to work with actual artifacts. And most recently, our students have been working to restore this tomb, which is going to be put on display in the Florence Archaeological Museum. Art history is a class that I think every student at SACI should take, and we offer a lot of different areas of art history for our students to take, so there is a nice variety depending on what you're interested in. But the art history courses don't really tend to take place in the classroom. They take place out on site with your faculty member, going to museums and monuments and sculptures, standing in front of them and discussing why these pieces of art are important and what their history is. So if one of your goals is to see as much of Florence as possible, this is the best way to do it. Our art history classes usually tend to have the most SACI weekend field trips as well. So if you are thinking about the best way to see as much of Italy as possible, art history classes are the way to go. Lastly, we offer language and Italian culture. So we don't require students to take Italian language, and our classes are taught entirely in English, but many of our students do want to come over to Italy and learn some Italian while they're there. So we offer it at the beginning, intermediate, and advanced levels. One of the things that our Italian language classes do is encourage our students to get outside of the SACI classrooms and meet local Florentine students to be able to practice their Italian skills, and also give those local students the opportunity to practice their English skills. So if you are interested in seeing more images of daily life of a student in Florence on the SACI program, or want to see what our alumni are up to get a sense of what it is that SACI can do for you in the long term, I would recommend that you check out our social media. We're constantly posting pictures of students currently over there, as well as alumni, what they're doing now that they've moved on from SACI, as well as artwork from both sets of groups. Okay, so that is SACI programs in a nutshell. So what I'd like to do now is, hang on, okay, is invite everybody to ask any questions that they might have. Again, feel free to use that chat feature to ask your questions. Kaylee,
hi.
Hi. So Kaylee is here as a recent alum of the program to offer a different perspective on something that I'm not able to offer just working in the admissions office. So if you have any questions that are specifically about the student experience, feel free to ask them. But Kaylee, is there anything that you'd like to add that you feel like students should know about SACI that maybe wasn't included in that presentation?
I don't know if I have much to add. It went over pretty much everything that I would have said, but it reminded me of a lot of the stuff that I did. I took one of the painting conservation classes, which was awesome. I didn't realize before that I'd be touching actual masterpieces and things like that. So it goes as far as to, like, you can't even like post any of it on your phone or Facebook or anything because the Italian government owns these masterpieces. So It was just really cool to have a piece of Florence in your hands, because if you try and do that at a museum, the alarms go off and go crazy. But the other thing was the field trips, taking advantage of those. A lot of times one of the art history teachers, Helen, is the one that runs them, and she has every fact about the Italian Renaissance and art history in general in her brain. And you just learn so much. They're usually really long, like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but they're completely worth it. You just, you take like a 3-hour bus ride somewhere, spend the whole day there, get lunch, and then take a 3-hour bus ride back home. But yeah, I don't know what else to add other than those quick comments.
So tell me, how did you feel that the application process was for you? Did you feel pretty confident going through the SACI application process?
I did. It was fairly simple. And two, I remember calling the admissions office, like, I don't know, towards last summer when it was getting closer to going, I was calling like every week asking questions, and everyone there was so helpful. I don't remember, it's been a while now, but I don't remember running into any bumps in the road. And like I said, everyone was so helpful, because I was, trying to dot my I's and cross my T's and get everything in place before leaving. And they really helped get everything organized and get everything in place, and didn't seem annoyed with all of my questions at all. So
how did you feel about living in Florence? Like, how were the SACI apartments? Did you feel really comfortable in your neighborhood? Were you able to meet local people fairly easily?
Yeah, my specific apartment was about, I think, less than a 10-minute walk to the main building, and then maybe 15 minutes to the other building. And meet many of my neighbors, but we had this Italian rock band that had the rehearsals in the basement of our building, so we hung out with them a lot. And we were kind of on the not on the outside of Florence by any means, but we were on the outside of the center, to where it was quiet at night. Some of the apartments aren't quite as quiet because they're right next to the Duomo, or in Santa Croce, which is kind of like the loud, like everybody's up late dancing and stuff. But ours was really quiet. The people were really cool. There was a bunch of little shops on the way, and we got to walk through the market to get to school. So it was very nice. Towards, once you're there for a couple weeks, you start to feel like a local, and you start to get annoyed with tourists, and you're like, I'm just going to school, get out of my way. But I don't know. It was super easy to get to school. The apartment was very nice, very big. There was 4 of us in the apartment. I shared a room with one other girl. And then there was 2 single rooms. Kitchen was big. It was really nice. I don't know how else to explain that.
And so you mentioned that you took the conservation class, which I just think is the best. I'm so glad to hear that you took it. Can you just briefly other classes you took, and sort of just a little bit about how it was for you, those classes that you took?
Yeah. So I took the conservation class, and that one, like I said, pretty awesome. It's slightly terrifying because you have your hands on this masterpiece. The cool thing is that nothing that you do to it that's not 100% true. It can ruin it, but most of it's reversible, and you learn all of that in class. And the instructor is a conservationist in Florence, and she's got all the knowledge of art history and everything else. I took ceramics, and that one was really cool. I was, as I was telling you earlier, Rory, I had taken a ceramics class and didn't do well in it. And for some reason in Florence, with the instructor and with the students in my class, I was able to really hone in on those skills and be able to make things that I never thought I could. I took, what else did I take? Creative writing with Lee. I saw a picture in the presentation of Lee and it made me laugh. He's really cool. He gets you out into the community. They have an open mic night. I think it's like every first Wednesday of the month. And it's on the other side of the river, but it's fun because you get to know locals, you get to know travelers because it's in a hostel. And he also gives you the chance to like do some of your work in the open mic night. So you can read your short stories or your poems that you write. And then I took painting, beginning painting. And that one, again, another really cool class. I learned so much. In all of these classes, we took field trips and we would go to museums and we would go to the ceramics class. We went on a field trip to Cesenatico, to a ceramic studio out there. And that was probably my favorite thing because it's a ceramic studio in the middle of, I don't know, mountains, I guess. And it was really beautiful. And we got to learn from other students who are interning there and staying there for the whole year. So it was just very interactive in a sense of not just sitting in a classroom painting, and they encouraged you, to go outside and paint or, to take inspiration from all the sculptures that are around Florence. So it was definitely a different experience in that aspect where I'm from Nebraska and we have a pretty nice museum in Omaha, but we don't have the masterpieces and we don't have, half the year we're stuck inside because there's 10 feet of snow. So it's really nice to get outside and draw or just even get inspiration from sitting in the nature. So.
Great, thanks. So it looks like we don't have any questions, but so I have one last question for you before we wrap up, just to sort of provide as much information for our viewers as possible. So I guess it's a very open-ended question, but if you really just wanted to say one thing to a prospective student to sort of convince them, this is the program that they really should spend their semester or summer studying abroad on, what would you say to them?
That one is tough. I don't know. For me, I knew that I wanted to go to Italy. I didn't have a program picked out. I worked with my home school to do that. And I just remember my study abroad advisor showing me the program at SACI and knowing that it was perfect. It was in the middle of Italy in Florence. And so that feeling alone was really nice for me, knowing that the program fit what I was trying to do and all the credits transferred and everything. On top of that, I have made some of the best friends that I'll ever make. I still talk to them on a weekly basis. Some of them are living in Italy. Some of them are still at SACI in the master's programs, and some of them are back home. So that was awesome. I'm trying to think of things that will really get you to go. Me just saying go, I don't know. I can't change that experience. I wouldn't change that experience for anything. It was amazing to learn a new culture, to learn a new language. I still found my little coffee shop that I could go do homework at. There's free Wi-Fi everywhere, which is something different than in the United States. Just in the, you can get free Wi-Fi at the Duomo, the church there. So I don't know, as an art student, it's one of the coolest things to be a part of. I think it was mentioned in the Prezi that, yes, you're a part of the Italian Renaissance and the masters, you're walking in the same footsteps, literally. But even while I was there, there was a huge exhibition for the artist Ai Weiwei, who's a modern artist. He's from China. And he took up this entire, classic palazzo. So it's a great mixture of everything. So don't go, if you're into modern art, don't not go because it's there. I don't know if that's convincing enough, but
that was great. Yeah. I especially like, make sure that there's modern art there, because there really is, and that is common misconception that it is just a historic city. And yeah, it does have hundreds of years of history, and it has the most Renaissance art of any city in the entire world, but that's not all that Florence is.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone who was watching. I hope we were able to answer some questions for you and tell you a little bit more about the SACI program. So right now, I just want to remind everyone who is watching or maybe watching this after its conclusion. We are still currently accepting applications for our late spring and summer program this year, as well as our fall semester program at the end of this year. So if you're thinking about studying abroad before the end of 2017, we still are accepting your applications. If you are starting to think more in the year 2018 and spring, summer, we'll start accepting those applications very soon. If you do have any questions that come up that you weren't able to ask today, or just happen to come up a week or a month from now, you do have my contact information, so please feel free to email me at any time. Other than that, I'd really like to thank Kaylee for joining me. You did a wonderful job, and I think that your explanations and answers were just really inspiring for students. So hopefully somebody was inspired by you to come and study in Florence.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in Florence soon. Have a great night, everyone. Bye, Kaylee.
Bye.